In this video, we are going to be looking at probability. Now, probability is just the likelihood of an event occurring. Now, the best way I can explain this is if we look at rolling a die. You know a die now. When we roll a die, we can have either 1 appearing, 2 appearing, 3 appearing, 4 appearing, 5 appearing, or 6 appearing. So in this case, we've got like 6 various events occurring. Now I can now ask myself, what is the likelihood that if I roll a fair die, 1 will appear on top? What's the probability of that happening? What's the likelihood of that happening? Does that make sense to you? Now, for probability of an event, we've got a scale. Now we have 2 extremes. On this side we've got 0, on this side we've got 1. Can you see? So it then means that the probability of an event occurring cannot be more than 1, and the probability of an event occurring cannot be less than 0. So if someone told you that the probability of an event occurring is 1.5, this is totally wrong. It's not possible. And if someone told you that the probability of an event occurring is minus 0.7, it's wrong. It's not possible. And that's because 1.5 is greater than 1 and minus 0.7 is less than 0. Does that make sense? Now, what does this symbolize? Now, 0 on this side, on the left hand side, symbolizes impossibility. Does that make sense? And then 1 symbolizes certainty. Now if I ask you, we've got a pregnant woman. Now if I ask you, what's the probability that if this woman is delivered of a baby, the baby will be half boy and half girl? Now naturally speaking, this is impossible. So the probability of this event occurring is 0. Does that make sense? Now if I ask you, what's the probability that next week we are going to have 7 days? Now that's a certainty. We have 7 days in every week. So the probability of having 7 days next week is 1 because it's a certainty. Next week we are going to have 7 days. Does this make sense? So the probability of any other event happening can be within these 2 extremes. So we can have 0.7, we can have the probability of another event occurring to be 0.5. The probability of another event occurring can be 0.95. It can be anything within these 2 extremes. Do you understand? Now the next thing we want to touch on is the formula for probability. What's the formula for probability? So we've got probability equals to number of required occurrence all over number of possible occurrence. Now this is the formula for probability. Number of required occurrence all over number of possible occurrence. Does this make sense? Now to be able to understand how to use this formula, let's take some examples.